Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. We are tackling the question, how do you prioritize your work at an interview? Here are a few tips that you could use as you respond to this frequently asked question at interviews. You could talk about use of a framework to express your process. One of them is the ABC analysis. Choose a framework that works for you and one that you can explain clearly and concisely. Answer with real-life examples. A time that you had to prioritize your work. When describing your prioritization process, don't say that you consider importance and urgency. That is too generic. Share a time that you had to prioritize something. Demonstrate your flexibility and adaptability. Be sure to demonstrate that flexibility and adaptability in your answer. Talk about how you handle unexpected urgent work. For example, you're working on something. It is important, but not very urgent. Then you get something that is more urgent. How are you adaptable? How flexible are you? You can do this by talking about a time when you had to adjust your priorities due to unexpected change in circumstances. Highlight your ability to say no. For example, you could talk about a time when you had to say no to a new project because you were already overloaded. You are working on other things. Emphasize on your communication skills. Be sure to highlight how you use them to ensure that everyone is aligned and everyone is on board. How do you communicate when you have a project you're working on? How do you communicate on timelines? Share your delegation process. For example, when you have a project, do you delegate some of the things or do you work on everything? So you need to explain how you delegate or you delegated a task to a new member of a team so that they could support you to ensure that you are successful and you completed the assignment on time. Be honest about your areas of improvement. We don't know everything. No one is perfect. It is okay to admit that even in your prioritization, there is still room for improvement. For example, you struggle to say no to new projects. That's an area you are working on. So it is important that you give in that so that the interviewer knows that you are not saying you are the best in prioritizing, but you are working. And if there are areas that you need to improve, you are working on them. A sample answer, how you would say it at an interview. You would put it, I prioritize my work by considering urgency, dependencies, and skills and experience. If I'm working on a project on my own, I will look at the urgency, importance. Am I able to handle the assignment on my own? I'll talk about, I also communicate with my manager or team members regularly to make sure that we are aligned on the priorities. Do they know the deadline? In my previous role, I used to work on graduate trainee recruitment. We had deadlines and we had to work with technical people. We had to onboard them when our technical teams are not very busy, in which case I would plan with the technical teams. I would involve them in the process and make sure that they are involved in the interview process and they are also involved in the onboarding. I understand that priorities can change quickly, so I am flexible and willing to adjust my priorities as needed. For example, if my manager comes with a new project or it's an urgent project, I will drop what I'm working on and focus on the new task because it is important and urgent. I'm always looking for ways to improve my prioritization skills. For example, I recently started using a time tracking tool to help me identify areas where I can improve and become more efficient. I am confident that my prioritization skills will be a valuable asset to your team. Lastly, I am organized, efficient, and able to handle competing priorities. If you are attending an interview, these are good tips to take consideration. And if you're new here, remember to like, to share, to follow me, and you'll be notified anytime we post such content. Good luck in your next interview.